Welcome to another episode of Tales from the Tables with your host, Rob Bradley.
Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Rob Bradley, and I'm joined today with JC, my co-host, and of course James, my other co-host, and Alex Ball.
Hello.
One of the Rolldark Dungeon Masters. Hello, Alex.
Hello.
Good to have you with us, man.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I was expecting an episode 1 shout out, but episode 11? That's pretty good. I'll take it.
It's episode 1 twice.
Yeah.
It's 1-1.
Well, yeah,
So
exactly.
there you
Yeah,
go.
twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally.
Listen, we've talked about the Chalk Ice Boys enough that's basically your shout out. Right?
Yep. We figured we'll bring Alex in so we can actually get the proper lowdown on what the Chalk Ice Boys have really been up to, and
Yeah.
just kind of
A peek behind the curtain, right?
Yeah, totally.
Spoiler alert, not much. It's pretty much what I said they did.
Cool. So we're in for a really fun-packed podcast then, Alex.
Oh,
Yeah, there we
I
go. This is
cannot
going to be a
wait.
great episode.
I'm on tenterhooks. Let's go.
Awesome. How you been, James? You well?
Yeah, good. I've a fairly tiring weekend.
Oh, for
as
God's sake.
I
You driving to more airports, were you? Or...
No, I turn 30 tomorrow.
Happy
early
birthday.
birthday.
Yeah.
And so I had
birthday
some
from all of
fun
us.
over the weekend while I was still young enough to enjoy having fun.
Oh, great. Is that why you stayed in bed until 12 o'clock today, James?
It could well be. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is why I've always said my 30th birthday is going to be awake themed.
But you're not even 30 yet out. You're all babies.
Like,
Oh my God, yeah, you are babies. Crikey.
I can't help it.
30's awesome. Being in your 30s is a great decade. Trust me. Because like things start to like fall in place. It does. Even my most loser mates who I've got I've got a lot.
Call them out by name. Call them out by name so they know. Who are your loser mates?
Mike, mostly Mike.
They're all
Yeah.
Mikes. That's
You hear
the
that, Mike?
to be Mike or
You're
Rob.
on watch.
Yeah. So basically, it's just one guy, but I have to say his name so many times because it just But he's not a loser, mate. To be fair, but he spent the most part of his 20s, and I would say probably most of his 30s actually, just kind of dancing around trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life, and now he's kind of figured out, oh yeah, I want to do this. But it took him a long time to kind of get there to figure it out. But he did the right thing. He rather than sticking to a job that like he hated and just slogging away to a job that he hated, he was like, right, well, I hate this job, so I'm going to try something else. And I'll try something else. And now he's found his calling and he's loving it. So
Nice.
But I think it takes time to get that. I think your brain is quite scrambled in your 20s because you just sort of got out of being a teenager. You're sort of trying to figure out like adolescence. You're trying to figure out where you sit in the world, what your purpose is, and there's everything being thrown at you from all different angles. And then once you get to your 30s, you're like, right, okay, pretty much got a handle on who I am now.
I've got
What I
an
wanna
idea.
do with my life.
Yeah.
Where am I going to go?
Kind of like
What's the
leveling
point?
up, you might say.
Yeah, totally.
Ooh.
To be fair, that is something I can't stand. People on their social media things who instead of putting their age, they put level whatever their age is. No, get in the bin.
No, I'm like,
Well, as I'm approaching level 30, Alex, what I've learned is
Wait, is that milestone or XP, by the way?
milestone. It's a year dead on the same day each year. Milestone. You level up.
For me, day before my birthday, it's like doing my taxes. I have to like toss up everything I did in the year. It's like, okay, so ordered a coffee without stuttering. That's plus 25 XP. Okay.
Nice.
Forgot mum's birthday. That's minus 15. No. Okay.
So you're actually 60, but you've just had some years you didn't earn enough XP to age up.
Yeah. So I've actually been corrected before. That's not the milestone leveling system you're describing, James. That's the leveling up without XP system. Milestone is in some way, apparently, technically different.
Oh, okay.
Please explain how.
There's something in the DMG. I remember reading this argument because I was that miffed that they were calling me out on it. I was like, it's a milestone. You've reached a milestone. You regain an accomplishment. And then I realized in milestone leveling, you are actually supposed to award XP. It's just usually enough XP to get you to the next level. Whereas leveling without XP is where you decide when they ding, basically. And
But-
whether that be in a significant moment or just when enough time has passed or after a certain number of sessions, that's arbitrary and obviously
It is quite arbitrary if you just
What do you guys prefer to do? XP or milestones?
or
Milestone.
Yeah, milestone.
I prefer XP. I prefer to do XP.
I see the draw of XP because it's a substantial way to reward players for
Yeah.
activity, even though that they're not, actually accomplishing something per se, or they are, but that way you can reward them in small ways throughout. But it's just another resource for me to manage. I'm actually going to be
Yeah.
honest with you guys. I've only ever run one campaign with XP out of all the campaigns I've run. Everything else I've done milestone. I just went milestone and I never looked back.
Maybe I can't really comment because I've never run an XP game. I've always done milestone, but yeah, it's one more thing to track, isn't it? And it does get to a certain point where if you're throwing certain stuff up, and I tend to throw stuff that are a little bit too high level for my players at them, so they'd earn XP at quite a quick rate, and I think they'd get through the levels quicker, and then it would make running adventures more difficult.
I don't know. I've got those that like Alvin's group, JC. I play with them pretty much every month now. Go down and run a game with them every month, and they're all on level 8, I think it is. And I've been running that game for them for about 2 years.
2 years, yeah, because of a monthly recurrence.
Yeah.
What's the what's the campaign?
It's my own homebrew campaign. The Lost Unicorns of Elamaria. They're trying to find basically in this world, all the unicorns are the source of mortal magic, and there's one unicorn left, and all the unicorn have been killed by this. Basically they've been killed by Vecna. Vecna's killing them. I know the guys don't listen to the podcast, so I'll just tell them. Basically Vecna's killing all the unicorns, and there's one left, and they've got to find her. And
that's the last unicorn.
Yeah, the last unicorn. So they're currently searching for her in the north to try and find her.
Oh, cool. It's always in the place you last expect. Like, have they done investigation checks like under the sofa, like between the seat cushions, anything like that?
No.
The cup holder of your car.
Yeah. They basically have like 2 NPCs that do all the thinking for them. like, have you considered maybe going over here to look at this? And, I think I know how to solve this puzzle. They won't listen to this podcast, don't worry.
That doesn't surprise me.
We have very different outlooks on NPCs. All of my NPCs are there purely to hinder people, and just get in the way. It's it's made it so none of my players can trust anyone that I throw at them, but it's worth it.
You got to do some shout outs for your players?
Oh, go on then. I was tasked by literally all of my players to give shout outs. So here we go. Shout out to Vinny, Mike, Kai, Dan, Joe, Chris, Zeb, Steve, Keith, Jan, Dan, Charlotte, Mark, Yogi, David, Gavin, Ian, Teddy. I love you all equally, but one of you is my favourite, so discuss amongst yourselves who that is.
Now we see what kind of DM you are. There it is. Yeah.
No, I mean, if I'm gonna set up like a gladiator like death race where my love is the prize, I need to have some stakes in there.
Start fresh. Right?
My love is the prize.
You're not a dad by any chance, are you?
God no. I would be an awful father. Are you kidding me? The only thing I would want a child for is playground gossip.
There you go. Just to know what the other kids are doing.
I want to know the goss. I want to know what's going on, and then as soon as they're done, I know they can go in the cellar.
Yep.
My brother's got 2 kids, and he said to me at the weekend that he said there's this brilliant thing that happens if you've got a boy with your partner, is that your partner will come over to you and thank you. She'll be like, "Thank you so much for spending time with him today." And James is like, literally, all I've been doing is playing with Lego, like building Lego stuff, and just doing I've basically been doing all the things that I actually really want to do. It's lo and behold, I'm spending time with myself.
If I didn't have a kid, it would be sort of frowned upon if I was.
Exactly.
just by yourself playing with
some.
Legos.
Yeah.
But now this is
It's
okay.
like-
I'm at the age where I
Yeah.
kind of want to start going back to theme parks, but I realize that
Oh,
the only people my age going to theme parks are the people that use their kids as an excuse to do it. Well,
Yep,
not only, but mostly.
Totally.
I
Got
went
any
to-
do you have any nieces and nephews? Take?
No, sadly, not. I'm an only child. My parents took one look at me and they were like, "Nope, that's it. One is enough."
It's just
What about,
one of
like-
those
So,
things.
yeah.
What
I went
about like
to-
a dog in a purse?
I could try and that's my next
We-
move.
That's-
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't take those to theme parks though. I went to a theme park. I think for the first time in maybe like 12 years last summer. I went to Alton Towers.
Oh
And
yeah, how was that?
I felt
Did you go on
sick
the
for
Smiler,
pretty
did
much
you?
the entire.
Oh, you got
Yeah, I went on the Smiler at the very start of
Ooh,
the day.
God, was there like no
and
one in the
then-
queue?
Yeah, there wasn't anyone in the queue actually.
I wonder why.
And then just after that, I felt really sick, but sort of pushed through. But then I would sort of have this low-lying nausea for most of the day, and every time I went on another roller coaster, it would then ramp back up again,
Oh,
and then I'd
God.
come off, take a little break,
No.
and then it would like slowly go down again. Then I get on another roller coaster and it go back up. And I really enjoyed the day, but I was like, oh god, I think I have aged here because when I was a younger man, this didn't happen, and my neck didn't hurt at the end of the day either from the G-force.
Yeah,
It's the only reason you're turning 30 and not 29.
yeah.
right.
Not
I
one
did
day.
that.
It's over now.
I went to Thorpe Park and went on Stealth. Was it Stealth at Thorpe Park? I think it is Stealth, isn't it? Big roller coaster there, something like that. Anyway, I went on that.
Yes.
And literally gave me a banging headache that just would not go away all day. And I was looking for headache tablets. I was like, why does this place not sell headache tablets? Like it would make a killing if it sold headache tablets.
actually,
The
that's
amount of like
Yeah,
legal stuff
paracetamol
they'd have
everywhere.
to go through to be able to sell drugs.
Still drugs, yeah.
Yeah,
Have
sure.
a pharmacy on site. But
Yeah,
anyway,
right.
yeah. So back to
Yeah.
your players, Alex. This is my opportunity to apologize to all of them for probably butchering all of their character names for the past. 11
Honestly,
episodes
you've
or
done
whatever
all
we've
right.
done.
Like we haven't had any massive complaints.
Okay, all right.
I think
Massive complaints.
yeah.
Just some minor ones.
Tiny complaints.
Just a minor
Yeah.
complaint.
I mean, yeah.
Just by sheer fact that we're not you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say my players are like all of them in all of my groups are an absolute blessing. Like they understand the kind of wavelength I'm on. They kind of throw themselves into it, and yeah, I know at this point that I can basically just pluck an idea where I'm like, that's too stupid to work, and they will help me make it work.
Great.
Nice.
Like,
You have an example of that?
oh, absolutely. Like the story last week from He Who Frustrates. Like so many groups that I've done like one-offs and stuff would either not take the bait of Debbie Gibson playing in the halls of a weird distorted manner, or would kind of try to overanalyze it and forget to have fun, I guess. Like a lot of people can try to kind of just, I'm not sure what the right word is, but like try to over optimize D&D, I guess.
Of course.
Like to the point where they're like, I need to
okay.
mathematically make it as perfectly as possible. We trigger no traps. We da 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 da. But it's like you're kind of cutting the fun out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't over optimize life, can you?
No.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
You know, you are born into
You
the skin you're born in, and that's it. You got to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know?
I think.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I think I actually had a great early learning experience about this, and how someone taught me to fail forward in D&D.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been my modus operandi the whole time since, because when I was introduced to the game, and I might have told this story before in the podcast, I'm not sure. I was playing an Eladrin sword mage. That was a class from Ori. And kind of just worked hard on making the character. Got introduced in the middle of a dungeon that they were crawling through, and at the very end, there was this huge magical experiment that was ready to poison the entire city above. And they handed me the 6-inch thick giant black D20, and were like, "Go ahead and roll an Arcana check because you're the best one at Arcana right now at this table." And I rolled a natural 1, and botched the arcane experiment and poisoned most of the city above and whatnot. And then I was like, wow, okay, that was fun, guys. Thanks for this game. That was weird and fun, but upsetting at the end. And I guess I've, lost D&D now, so it's over. And they were like, oh, no, that's not how that works. We fail forward. Like this has opened up a whole new avenue of possibilities. And like the DMs were excited, obviously. And I thought I had like ruined the game for everybody, but they were like, "We assure you that's not the case. Come back next week." I was like, "Okay," and that's how it all began.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I once had a game where these guys were searching these crates, and this guy was like, "I'm just going to investigate what these crates are. There seems to be all these crates that are piled up in this village, and I don't know what it is." And he did a search, and he rolled a natural 1, and I was like, "Yeah, you basically find all these crates are full of liquid shit." It was like, "What? Why have they got liquid shit?" And he's like, literally like, then made it his mission to discover why there was liquid shit in this village. And then he ends up finding out there's like this, like, so I had to make this all up on the fly. Like they didn't find out there was this like fertilizer that they were creating that was really good, and it was like, making loads of money. And they were like, "Cool, this village is really rich. Why are they rich?" They were like, but it turns out they were like, using slave labor from like another village that they'd like taken over, and it's this whole story of developed based on the fact that he rolled a natural 1
on that one. That's a beautiful story.
Yeah. They built the story completely just off that one roll. So funny.
Yeah, like,
that's incredible.
It's also like, as DMs, you need to know when to let go of the reins a little and let your players just follow something to the bitter end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And likewise, on the opposite end of that spectrum, when to completely rein them in and be like, "You are wasting far too much time." Shout out to my Wayfinders right now that finally got into a combat with the hag after 3 weeks of teasing that they weren't going to. They were going to try and talk to her, but inevitable things.
That's something I have a bit of trouble with. Like everyone's favorite friends of the podcast, the Chalk Ice Boys. We worked it out. A third of the entire time in this year-long campaign has been them going through like this kind of haunted undead swamp on holiday. Nothing to do with the plot.
On holiday.
Nothing, like, they were being chased by assassins. They were like, they were thinking, okay, we need to stop the apocalypse that's going on. Then someone was like, why don't we just go to Bucket Marsh? Like, there's got to be like a walking tour or something. I'm like, oh, you mean the undead marsh that's where no one lives except for those who are foolish enough to go there? And they're like, yeah.
There's a walking tour.
Yeah, there's a walking tour. I was like, sure. So I made a quick little leaflet that was called like the Scavenger's Guide to Bucket Marsh. Kind of put little X's for where they could go, and they're like, okay, let's go on a walking tour. But great, excellent,
amazing.
That's
amazing.
Excellent.
What's in the swamp?
Oh, so much. They had there was a person who had taken over an entire village, filled it with traps, and was at the top of a church tower with a sniper rifle. They went into the village, and the warning shot hit the fighter in the shoulder, and the person in the church tower just went, "Hi, I'm a hunter. I got bored of hunting animals, so now I'm going to hunt people. Do you want to come through my death trap?" And they were like, absolutely, yes, we would. And so they just basically did like this kind of mousetrap thing, like through this village where there was exploding wells, there was like tripwires, like poison tanks, just all trying to get to this one guy who was up in the church tower.
I feel like you've been an adventurer too long when you find the fact that your enemy is just being honest about their intentions up front refreshing enough to be like, yeah, I guess we'll do this.
Hunted for sport, yeah.
No, it's not as bad as the last guy we dealt with. So let's go through the Death Trap Village. That sounds like fun. Let's do it.
Yeah, the last guy who tried to get us to go through Death Trap Village wasn't upfront about it at all, and that was less fun.
Brilliant. Man. So, James, what's the news this week? Well, other than obviously the fact that Baldur's Gate 3 has come out on PlayStation.
I have played it for, I think, a couple of hours last night, which explains why I'm so tired today.
Are you still on the Nautiloid?
Like on the back of the rest of the weekend as well. Yes, I'll get to the news. I won't talk about the weekend. That's better. Will we finally have a resolution to the great trading card game heist of 2023?
Oh wow!
No!
What's up? And they've been
Magic
caught.
the Capering.
Please,
no.
Yes, the ill-gotten goods have not stayed missing. They have been recovered on August 29th in New York City.
Headed to the next city.
I need to jump off the call for unrelated reasons. I'll see you
One's
later.
at the door. They just the FBI.
Yes, so the cards are in the process of being returned to Indianapolis and held as evidence. So they have noted that the suspects should be considered innocent until proven guilty. That hasn't stopped people trying to enact their own form of vigilante justice against the suspect's game, Castle Assault. Its rating has sunk to 4.0 on Board Game Geek after a sea of 1-point review bombs, with the occasional voice of calm poking through. So
that's not fair.
Some of the comments are just, "I know what you did last Gen Con."
God bless the internet.
Go directly to jail, and then slightly less fun, just thieving New Yorkers. Sorry, JC.
Thieving New
It's
Yorkers.
all of us.
Thieving
we
New
are
Yorkers.
a general bunch of thieves. No honor among us.
We don't like to generalize New Yorkers like that. They're lovely people. Based off JC entirely.
That's the one New Yorker you know.
Yes, so the case.
New Yorkers.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, the case is expected to be presented to the prosecutor's office in the near future for charging consideration. So they've not been charged with anything yet, but they have recovered all the cards. And
I'm kind of bummed. They should have done this better. Come on, New Yorkers.
Yeah,
come on, get it together. They should have put that out in the market. Those cards should be like impossible to track at this point from trading and
to be fair, like if they had succeeded, I feel this would open up a whole like Wild West of trading card thieves. Like you could be driving down the road, stand and deliver, give us like your rare Charizard. Would have been amazing.
Listen, I live for that chaos. Let's go. Anarchy in the TCG space.
Yeah. You have nothing to lose,
just want to see the world burn.
Well, talking the other bit of news I have, talking about card games, is that Phoenix Games and Well Played Games are working with World of Darkness to make a new collectible card game titled Vampire the Masquerade: Clans of London.
Okay.
So they are creating a card game based around the clans and settings within the tabletop RPG Vampire the Masquerade. As you enter a world of vampires who seek different kinds of power and dominance over the streets of London. Aside from the initial announcement, they haven't really revealed much of anything beyond the fact they'd be showing off some of the cards during PAX West 2023. So we don't even have a release window for it yet, beyond the fact it's probably going to not be released until 2024. And it looks like they are going to be doing an online version because the guys they're working with, Well Played, developed the mobile version of Warhammer combat cards with Games Workshop. And so then they specialize in digital collectible card games. Vampire the Masquerade's a pretty popular tabletop RPG, and collectible card games are sort of have a lot of overlap with the tabletop world, so that'd be interesting. I'll probably, if it's an online thing that I can do from my phone, I don't have to buy a ton of cards. I imagine it'll be heavily monetized, like most of them are.
Of course.
But if it's on a similar level to, say, Marvel Snap, which I play a ridiculous amount of,
I am in that camp as well. Don't worry.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, it's like you can play for free, and it doesn't really hinder you, so it's all good. Yeah. So, what was a recommendation?
The last
for Marvel
digital
Snap?
card game I was playing was Hearthstone, because I was into the Warcraft universe, but I don't know where that's ended up.
I think I tried that, and I was like, I need to spend money on this, and I do not have.
Well, that's the whole thing. That's kind of what's ruining it. I actually talked to a friend of mine who I know he's super into Diablo, and I asked him, "Hey, how's it been going?" Because that game has been out for several months now, and I just got back from Edinburgh. I was like, "What's the skinny?" And he was like, "Oh, it's terrible. I've stopped playing." And I'm like, "What?"
Really?
They ruined everything. There's so many microtransactions, the whole season thing where you have to reset. Even the ending is apparently like not good enough. Like they just kind of dialed it in for the ending of the story. And I'm like,
for Diablo 4?
For Diablo 4. And I'm like, really? Blizzard?
Oh, wow. I'm surprised because the one that came out for mobile was all micro purchasing. Do you remember? And they had that horrible announcement, and everyone kicked off, and they're like, no one cheered, and they were just like, because of the fact that it was mobile and it was microtrans. I'm so surprised.
Galore.
I would like to say for the mobile game, the voice acting for that was excellent, though.
Oh yeah.
Well, Alex
that one guy
Alex
in particular.
Alex Ward is on it. So shout out to Alex
one guy in
Ward.
particular.
So one voice in
Shout out to
particular we'd
Alex.
like to shout out, and that's Alex's character's voice,
Hey.
whose name I've lost in the back of my brain somewhere. But
Yep.
so you can look it up, people of the internet. And yes,
We'll ask our producer to do it. 1 second.
Hey, producer's on
Where are you?
the
so I don't have any other news this week, but what I have done is managed to read through some more of the Big B's giant boy.
I just picked it up.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I thought I'd maybe like highlight some cool stuff to. We're not being paid to advertise this. I should probably clarify that. But there's some cool stuff in it that if you're like on the fence about whether or not you want to include some stuff in your game, I think I'd highlight some cool stuff. So this week I'm going to be highlighting Death Giants, which are a new addition to the ordering. I think that they're sort of separate from it, but apparently long ago, a band of cloud giants have traveled to the Shadowfell in search of a way to preserve their collapsing empire, and through doing so, they have tried to make a bet with the Raven Queen, the god of death, who we are familiar with through JC stories on this podcast. And accounts of that bet apparently vary, so they've like allowed for some leeway for people to sort of make up their own, but they've given like a loose outline there. And they lost, and so there are now this band of cloud giants or ex-cloud giants, now death giants that serve the Raven Queen. And there's this it's a lovely bit of artwork of a death giant reaper, and it's this enormous.
I saw that.
With like a really big cool purple bladed scythe, like standing over the trees in the mists of the Shadowfell. That's pretty great. And then there's is the
artwork pretty good in the book? Is it pretty good?
Yeah, I have to say, for a lot of the new creatures, there is some stuff. The ones they don't have artworks for tend to be like the dinosaurs. Because I think there is loads of artwork for dinosaurs out there. Players aren't gonna, and DMs aren't gonna struggle to find artwork that matches what they're doing there. But yeah, so there's another death.
Oh, cops are coming! Cops are coming!
Oh shit!
Oh my god, JC, quick! Get the rest of the cards.
No,
they found it. Quick!
Not even on my end.
Forgot I had an open window. Sorry there, folks. The joys of living in the inner city.
Well, the thing is, it's very warm in the UK at the moment, as I'm sure many of our listeners will know and appreciate. So there's a lot of open windows and fans going on in the background. So we do apologise for that, but I think you don't want us to be all sweaty and irritable as we're talking. So
no,
tough shit.
Yeah, there are honestly the monster art in Big B's is really really good. I'm actually quite impressed, and I have to share what I'm really excited about from this book. We finally get a glimpse at what Fomorians looked like before that they were cursed by the elven gods, right? So Fomorians, in case you don't know the lore, were once very beautiful giants and very very greedy and very literally power hungry and magic hungry. They would consume it, and as a result, they were cursed by the elven gods. And I think Queen Titania of the realm.
That's one of the pages.
That account may vary. But they were cursed to sort of reflect on the outside what they were like on the inside, and that's why they're all deformed and have the yellow eye and things like that. But we finally got some artwork and some stat blocks for the Fomorian noble, basically a small sect of Fomorians that were away when the rest of their group was cursed. Exactly. So, and they're basically very tall purple elves, but they look awesome. I don't know if you guys can see it in the camera here. I've got the book.
Oh
on
yeah,
me.
nice.
But I was like, hey, cool.
Oh, you got a physical copy? Oh, nice.
I do. I have the alt cover copy.
Ooh, that's the artwork on that's nice
Fancy
too.
Man.
I'm gonna get it, I think.
I haven't started going through the adventures yet, but the Etin Ceramorph is pretty cool. Anything Mind Flayery, it's pretty great. Yeah, protecting elder brains, so that's a new bit of lore there. That'll be Etin.
I've already used. I think it was like the Fomorian Warlock in one of my games, and it did not go well for the party.
Oh no, what happened?
So they were trekking through like this kind of this cavern with like bioluminescent mushrooms, and they're like, "Oh, cool mushrooms." And then this Fomorian came down and was like, "Oh, I love it when all of my ingredients fall in one place." And they're like, "Well, obviously this person's going to eat us, so let's murder." And I threw in some blood elementals to kind of spice it up a bit. But yeah, the Fomorian Warlock almost ripped someone into 4 pieces.
Oh, gosh.
Because I was like, you know what, spice this up even more, an insta-death ability. That's going to go well. It did not kill them because they misty stepped the last second, but it was
Misty
close.
Step. I hate that. I hate that.
I
hate it. I hate it. I'm like, cool. I've got all these. Oh, yeah, I'm really gonna kill him now. I've really got him. They Misty. We're just gonna Misty Step out of this situation. And I'm like,
oh no! If you want like even worse, I think it's the Shadow Kai in Monsters of the Multiverse. They get a Misty Step for each of their proficiency bonus every day, but whenever they Misty Step for the rest of the turn, they have resistance to all damage.
Yep.
That's just
that's a racial trait now too for Shadow Kai. Like you can make a player character like that. And
I know because I have one in my Wednesday group who doesn't stop doing it, and I'm like, please let me kill you. I had a player
just make one not too long ago, and they just got that character killed. But they this was the one I think I told you guys a handful of weeks ago. They voluntarily decided to, out of my knowledge, sacrifice their character because they were going down a far too evil route for our campaign. And so after an agreement that they were too corrupted, someone grabbed them and put their face in like a giant vat of magma that they were using to forge weapons.
Oh gosh.
Outpost. And I didn't know it was happening. So that was the best part. Like I was like, "Oh, Chris, don't do that. We need to talk about this. Let's take a 5-minute break." And they were like, "No. We already discussed this during the break." And I was like, "Oh, okay, good. Roll a new character." It was intense. Yeah, it's a cool book.
Oh man. So what else is there, James? Any other news?
That's it pretty much this week. So yeah, there's the tabletop card game Thieves Court, some new Vampire the Masquerade card game coming, and happy to talk about more of the giant-y stuff too. There's an Echo of Demogorgon that's dope.
He looks, basically like a fleshy Demogorgon.
I'm a big fan of Demogorgon as an adversary. I've used him in games before. It did not go well actually for the party.
I think I've used the stat block. I've never used like the actual lore behind it.
No, I've never toyed with that. I got to try it out if it didn't go well for your party. I'm also really excited about the Fandelver campaign that's coming out very soon. I don't really know too much about it apart from I think it's called. There's the Shattered Obelisk. Thing.
It's going to be tying together some of the other adventures.
Released some spoilers about it. Like there's these things called mind crystals, which are like one-off meta magic things that you can use.
Oh, cool.
But you can use them if you're not a sorcerer as well. So if you're like a wizard or a bard, then you can have like a one-use quickened spell or twin spell or whatever.
Get a little sorcerer taste.
Yeah, a little amuse-bouche.
That's cool. Nice. I imagine it'd be helpful as long as it's one use and doesn't make sorcerers feel sort of redundant. Then that should be okay.
I mean, the Meta Magic Adept feat has already done that, so no harm, no foul.
Well, that is true.
Sorry, makes it bad for everybody. Yeah. I am just very into sort of figuring out what like the lore behind these obelisks are because they have something to do with time manipulation. I know that because there's something that happens in Icewind Dale that kind of teases that, or that can happen in your Icewind Dale campaign towards the end. So the fact that we've been seeing so many of these outside of the Tomb of Annihilation or the Tomb of the Lost Gods, technically called, and in Icewind Dale, and it shows up in a couple of different places. I can't wait to get my hands on this and figure what it's all about.
It's nice they've done that. Nice they've like seeded like this like starts of what could be a really epic story.
It's the sort of first thing that kind of has a through line through all not all the books, but some of the books, and like we're actually waiting in real time to figure out what it's all about. So, So more of this, please.
Yeah, it's the sort of stuff that
reference.
I really enjoy, like waiting for. It's like when the MCU started and they started seeding stuff, like that wait to see what it was they were building to, and when they started pulling threads together,
like, oh, what
you're like,
characters are they going to introduce in the next
this is so
post-credit scene?
exciting, yeah.
Oh God, it's Fury or whatever.
Yeah, right.
To be fair, speaking
Yeah.
of RPG news, have you guys seen the Marvel RPG that's been released?
Oh no, I haven't. Actually.
No.
Which
Has
one?
that been any good?
James is like, what?
What I'm
What is
hearing
this?
is that
On the
I'm
bill?
better than all of you at your job. Got it? Okay.
Yeah.
No, just better than James. Just better.
Okay.
Yeah, just me. Yeah.
I can work on the other
James's
two of you.
job.
It's a long podcast. We got time. So
Frantically
basically-
googling.
yeah, they beginning of last month they released a Marvel multiverse RPG. So you can
they did.
like make your own heroes and stuff like that. I will say, by the way, that this is just my opinion. It doesn't reflect the opinions of Rolldark or Robert Bradley.
You don't have to say that. It's okay.
Are you sure? I don't want you to get sued.
It's fine. It's fine.
so-
Wait for it. Wait for it.
You can criticize. You can criticize anything, any media that's out there. It's fine, as long as it's not individuals or companies as a whole.
Yeah, I will say the Marvel Multiverse, the book they've released, it's great for character creation.
Yeah.
It's not so great for everything else. Like there's
See.
a lot of stuff that I would be that I expected to see that wasn't there. Like there's no equipment or gear whatsoever.
What?
Yeah,
Oh.
Really?
there's no sort of like currency system. There's no way
But
to
I
like
want
buy
to
or
know
sell.
the stats to the Infinity Stone.
I know.
How come we don't have that?
No.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of books by the looks of it that are coming out soon. So there's an X-Men expansion and a role-playing game, Cataclysm of Kang, which I presume is a story.
Yeah, it's an
module.
adventure.
Yeah, an adventure module. So
The thing is, Alex, like they need to hear this sort of feedback, because if they're in the realm of wanting to improve their products and to reach as much of a market as possible, they'll appreciate the criticism, because it's it's not, and it's
We are
constructive
professional
criticism.
nerds, Marvel. Listen to us.
Exactly.
Listen to our
Mm.
podcast.
Really. If you want to have equipment for your characters, that's an important thing to have. And if they've missed the trick there, they should pay attention and go, "Oh, we need to do that."
Yeah,
Right?
I would say though, like in the positive, character creation is amazing. There's so many stupid powers that you can have, but yeah, it would require at the point where it is now, it would require a lot of homebrew to make a full campaign out of it.
Do you get the impression from it they're trying to reach their fan base and to bring, because obviously when you look at D&D, to play D&D, you kind of need to have that sort of mentality of being prepared to learn a game that is there's a lot of depth to D&D, which puts a lot of people off.
Yeah.
Right. And in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the fan base of Marvel, there's definitely going to be people in there who would never want to play a role-playing game or an advanced board game because they don't like the idea of having to spend a day learning the rules, or that barrier to entry just seems like impossible to them. So maybe they've done it because they want to just be so anyone can just pick it up
as streamlined as possible.
Yeah, I would say like it's a fairly simple system to get with, but there's lots of little kind of winks and nudges to various Marvel properties because you got to cross promote. Like the last 100 pages of the book, all character sheets for existing Marvel characters, which is cool.
That's good.
That is cool.
But yeah, it's
so
also the ability scores spell out Marvel. I forgot about that.
Wait! I gotta figure this out. Might, acrobatics,
agility.
Okay, keep going.
Okay, might. I'm gonna guess. Here's my stab at it.
I'll tell you how many out of 6 you get.
Vigor.
Oh, God. Oh, vigor's good. Yeah. What's R?
Resilience.
Resilience, Constitution. Sure. Vigor is something else.
Veracity. Velocity. It says speed.
Right. Velocity. The one stat devoted to your speed. A whole stat for it. Now I'm blanking. I thought I had something good for E and L, but now I don't.
What's one's got to do something to do with intelligence.
That's your magic ability, empowerment.
You don't empower others. Yeah.
Right. Is there a word beginning with V that means intelligence or brain power? Vigilance.
No, it's more perception based.
Yeah.
No, maybe vigilance. I don't know. And then what about L? What do we got for L?
Law.
Lord, life.
Yeah.
Just life.
Loquacious.
It's a 1 or a 0. You can't go higher or lower.
L. What would L be?
I have no idea. All right. What is it?
Okay,
Since
so
you have
you've
it,
got
Alex.
3 out of 6.
Okay,
So,
all right.
Wow.
We'll take that.
Well, technically 3.5, because in the original playtest it was might, but they changed it to melee.
Okay.
You got agility, you got resilience, you got vigilance, which I was surprised at.
Vigilance.
And then the other 2 are ego and logic.
Ego and
okay.
logic.
I like
Logic
ego as a stat.
Yeah, ego's good.
Sure.
Ego is good because if you look at Tony Stark, his biggest flaw is his ego.
I say Reed Richards is up there as well with a big old ego, thinking that he needs to be the one to save the world.
That's actually very clever of them to put that in, because that's
what's the M now? What's the first one?
Melee. So it's just kind of it's essentially your strength, your brawn, your athletics, picking up things, throwing them.
I do have a question actually. So if there's no equipment, is it one of those ones where you can't build a hero like Hawkeye, who doesn't have any special powers?
You can, because so there's different power sets, and some of them come under this thing called specialized training, which is like, so you have your origin, which is how did you get your powers? One of them is specialized training. It limits you to kind of the power sets that you have as like a normal person. So you have things like martial arts, ranged weaponry, shield bearer, which is just Captain America.
It's Captain America,
tactics, and stuff like that.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
The first campaign I would run with this system is absolutely a The Boys style adventure.
So this is
everyone's an asshole. And you're trying to just be a bigger asshole.
I have been planning a supervillain campaign based on this. It's just kind of in the I'm just kind of building out the world. It takes place in the municipal city of Townsburg. And Townsburg, I was like, what's the most generic place name I can think of? Let's go. So
Metro City.
Very that metropolis or so very sort of that, but it's kind of all the player characters are going to be supervillains kind of on the up and up, who have signed up to a kind of gig economy called Villain Us. They get assigned like an account manager, and it's basically just how miserable could I make being a supervillain be? You're like
bureaucracy.
Like
God, that gives me such what vibes does that give me? Suicide Squad-ish, but
my inspirations were like the kind of the Harley Quinn DC cartoon.
Which is so good.
Yeah,
I've not actually sat down to watch episodes, but I keep running into clips of it, and it's so tongue in cheek, and so modern.
Just watch it, like pure. Oh, it's so good.
Like, does she have a relationship with Ivy in that or something? It's like this is beautiful. I'm so into this.
They they do get together. Spoiler alert, but not really a spoiler because everyone knows.
There you go.
But no, I will say best character Nora Freeze.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm glad she actually gets. She's not literally fridged, as in the term.
No, she's fridged for the first kind of bit, but then when she gets out, she's just like, okay, why would you be a supervillain to keep me alive? That's so weird. She bums off Mr. Freeze, just goes on a massive, like, I think 2 seasons long bender. She is never not drunk and trying to hook up with any supervillain that's ice related.
My God.
Incredible. Everyone hates her, but she just stays around.
Is this the same show where someone's visiting someone in prison and they're like, hey, Dad, I brought you a cactus, and the guards go crazy because they knock it out of the kid's hands and
then shoot it into the ground.
No plant life within 30 feet of poison ivy. And the kid's crying. Brilliant.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah.
I have to check that one out. The Harley Quinn animated series.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's a new one. It's who is it? Kaylee Cuoco?
Yeah.
Is Harley Quinn,
yeah.
Nice. She's brilliant.
Cool. Have you guys tried out any of the playtesting for 1D&D at all?
I have not.
I haven't. I've looked through it all. I'm not the biggest fan, I feel I'll just stick to 5e.
You've opened this can of worms.
Until I need to learn it, I don't intend to learn it.
Yeah, I'm very much old man yelling at clouds about this one.
Yeah,
oh, the old one's good enough. Why can't we just stick with it? Like
back in my day.
Yeah, very that. What do you mean? There's a magic action.
Now you're allowed to say that legally.
Yeah, I get to say it, and no one can be like, "Oh, shut up! You're too young to say that." No, I'm 30 now.
From what you guys saw have seen of 1D&D then so far, what do you think the intention is behind it? Is it to sort of bring like players
mass market appeal?
Yeah, mass market appeal.
Yeah.
It feels.
And I think there was some stuff.
Go ahead, Jim.
There was some stuff that I think we sort of had, like, as DMs for Rolldark had talked about that we liked. Like, I think the new exhaustion rules, we were like, that's better. But I think they're still, but they are constantly changing stuff, and I think that is good if they're listening to the community. However vitriolic that might be at times, it's good to know that they are taking some stuff on board. I can't pull out specific examples, but I know that they have had feedback on stuff and been like, okay, yeah, we'll change that. So they are listening.
Even with something like the exhaustion system, which is, last I heard, it was you take a progressive -1 penalty for every level of exhaustion, right? To basically all of your checks.
Yeah, when you hit 10, you're dead.
Right. So that makes a lot of sense, but I feel like then they don't know where they want to live, because they were trying to get away from number crunching, hence the whole advantage disadvantage thing, and trying to be different from 3.5 and Pathfinder that were very number crunchy heavy. And now they're kind of back to it, right? Because now we're starting to take penalties, like numeric penalties, back into account, which I've never not, for me personally, I don't mind that so much. I like having to keep track of numeric penalties. I do that, and I have a couple of homebrew rules that do that. For instance, like if you're in a flank, you get a +2 bonus to your attack roll, because it felt silly to give you advantage on the attack roll, since there are so many other ways to get advantage on your attack roll. So that would just kind of negate it. So instead it's a +2, so you can have advantage and a +2, for instance. But then now with this, and I'm like, well, are we going back to it? Are we trying to stay away from number crunching? Where are we living in this space right now? I don't know.
And I think the reason they are maybe falling back into number crunching a little bit is because of the popularity of D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
And it's easier to keep track of it with an online system that does all that math for you. Just tracks it as you go. You just tick a box saying, I'm this level of exhausted. It's taking a -3.
You're not wrong.
When you go to make an attack or a save, it's already taken that off. So it just adds the relevant bonus or negative.
I will admit, D&D Beyond, like, best thing for new players. It takes all the crunchy maths out. It's really kind of just laid out. It's just, I can't tell you how many new players I've managed to kind of get in purely because I'm like, it's simple. It does the maths for you.
It holds your hand the whole time.
It holds your hand.
It's all drop down menus.
And I've had, because most of my players are kind of within the queer community, and queer people famously do not like maths. You're laughing like I'm telling a joke. I'm not. Queer people hate maths. Okay, so I'm about to teach you something. So there are 4 traits. No queer person has all 4 of these traits.
Right.
A queer person, so good at maths, a driver's license, good at sports, a positive relationship with their parents. No queer person has all 4 of those.
No queer person has all 4
I don't have all 4 of those. Wait, does that mean I'm queer?
It doesn't mean you're queer, but it means you're like a little bit. Okay.
I'm curious.
Yeah. But yeah. So.
Oh God!
The less maths I have to kind of bring forward, the better for getting people into the hobby. I'm fully in support of it.
I'm gonna get help for that statement later. Just wait for Saturday. On that note, no, I see what you mean. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not sure. Yeah, Rob, I think to answer the question in general, like there's so much refinement that it feels, I don't know, like we're straining an idea through a mesh container right now. I feel like we're getting the dredges of them overreacting to everything that happened earlier this year with the whole, scandal over the OGL and stuff like that. They're so now on the other, oh, we're over communicating and we're going to take everything into account, that it feels like everything's getting pushed through this strainer, and now we're getting just a watered down version of what could have been a somewhat more complete system. I don't know. That I also feel like I'm old man yelling at clouds sometimes. So there's some people that really like what they've seen so far.
What I am looking forward to is the online tabletop they seem to be creating that will integrate with D&D Beyond fully.
Yeah,
the
VTT.
Cool. I'm absolutely stoked for that. It looks great.
Yeah, because I'm sure they'll bring out their own maps as well, right?
Yeah, well, if you're running
in 3D,
which will be incredible.
In 3D,
that I mean, it's a bit of a shame because you've got so many of those wonderful map creators out there that you would hope that they're like, hey, D&D guys.
I hope, and I'm sure it was mentioned at some point that there is going to be the ability for people to create their own maps in it for it.
Oh, there better be. Otherwise,
if they're releasing modules and you have to pay a little bit more for, say, well, I'm going to buy Curse of Strahd through D&D Beyond and get all the maps for it. That would be like a full 3D like Castle Ravenloft and stuff to run your adventures through. Incredible, like perfect.
I think
with all the stuff in the right place.
Yeah.
At what point though would it be like you actually just realize you're playing Baldur's Gate 3? You're like, oh,
exactly. Where is that line between this is still a tabletop game and now you're playing a video game? Like, how automated can it get?
I think there's that it's more scene setting, the maps and stuff. There's still a lot of freedom to sort of do whatever you want, add whatever you want in. What I think it might do is add more stuff for DMs to do in the background, to like as part of setup, and maybe give you a little. It depends how they integrate it. It'll be interesting to see, but it might mean you aren't able to be as reactive as you want, like as immediately. But we'll see.
The potential for it is incredible. Like just thinking about all the different kinds of things that this can lead to, like how smooth of an experience it could be in theory, right? The danger, I think, is if it goes the way of Blizzard, like we were talking about earlier, and microtransactions and stuff like that. If I have to pay anything for a different color of this cloak that my DM has given me, right? Or the DM has to pay in order to give that cloak as an in-game item or as an in-VTT item, I think there will be hell raised, and that will quickly change how this is going to go. And not just with cosmetics, like we already have a kind of system with D&D Beyond where you are paying to unlock certain things, right? And we've kind of gotten used to that by now. Not me, but anyway, but if it goes to the route where, oh, sure, you can buy this package, you can get the VTT, Castle Ravenloft, but in order to unlock the Rooms of Weeping, which is levels 5 through 7 or whatever, that's extra here. So here's your base, and then to get to the end, here's a little. You have to, buy your way through the whole thing.
That would really, really suck.
That would ruin it.
It would. I think they would. Yeah, they wouldn't get the people that would want to play this game playing this game. This makes no sense. It's like with Magic the Gathering. I know I've always gone on about Magic the Gathering, but like with them at the moment, their cards are on rotation every 3 months. The new pack comes out every 3 months. Every 3 months, new pack comes out every 3 months, and it's like it's ridiculous because I know for a fact like all the people that I played Magic the Gathering with, we just use cards that have come out and we just keep
that you like,
and then we go who we like, and we're like there you go, there's my deck done. Oh, there's new cards come out in this pack. Oh, maybe I'll look at it. Maybe I'll buy that card on the card sharing like site and buy it that way. It's like I'm not interested in the rotation of those. Like it doesn't have me locked in, and it's a bit. I'm sure there's going to come a time when this is going to be looked at because it is definitely appealing to people who have addictive personalities, and they are normally the most vulnerable amongst us. And it's like if you look at World of Warcraft, like what an incredible successful game. Yeah, totally successful. But my good God, like there are even now, like with some of the games that are out, like Star Citizen and all these other games, like there's young guys, young girls sat in their bedrooms doing nothing but playing computer games for hours and hours and hours on end, drinking Monster Energy drinks, You know, just not going out, not seeing the sunshine, and it's killing them.
You can just call me by name; it's faster.
Alex.
Yeah, right.
No, but that's what I was going to say. This is why I stopped playing WoW. Like, I would love to say that it was because I felt like I needed to have a real life again, because WoW took a lot out of me for a couple of years of my life. But in truth, I stopped playing because I felt like I was constantly playing catch up. And when I stopped caring about it, people stopped caring about me. And the game itself stopped caring about me. They were like, "Oh, you don't have the right gear level. You're not allowed in this area of content anymore." And I'm like, because the gear level goes up every 3 weeks. There's a new dungeon or a new release or new epics or new legendaries that I need to get in order to stay active in this guild or this and that. And it was such a grind. And that's all it became. Like, and not even in a traditional sense. I played that game for PvE. I loved exploring. I loved the quests. I love the story behind everything, right? And I felt and after a while I was like, it's really cool. I got my lore master achievement twice over, and I felt like there was not much else to do that wasn't locked behind a skill wall or a paywall of you have to constantly be at your PC and playing and raiding and getting the best next epic. I was like, okay, then I think I'm done. Sorry.
It's gotta like some kind of international body has to like look at this and go, this is kind of wrong. You know, this is almost like gambling. It's like the companies that want people to gamble. Like gamblers, like, okay, you can gamble from 18 upwards. It's like, oh well, let's get kids. That's how do we get kids? Oh, I know. We'll just make games that they have to like pay for, and it puts pressure on their parents to pay for the things because in that child's community, if you don't have this, then you're not good enough to, like, you know. And it's just that kind of manipulation. I just think, my God, are these businesses run by fucking psychopaths?
Yes, most of the time.
They are, aren't they? Like, why would they do that? Why? Like, surely they must know that it's damaging people.
Do you guys remember? I don't know if you were aware of this. Do you remember? I know we're kind of talking a little bit about video games and less about TTRPGs. We'll bring it back. But do you remember when Hawaii introduced a whole bunch of bills about how you can't have loot boxes in video games, loot box games? They introduced a pair of bills. I actually pulled up the article. State lawmakers in Hawaii, this was back in 2018, have introduced a pair of bills meant to restrict sales of loot box games in ways that should make publishers like EA and Activision more than a little concerned. This, I think, was largely in response to Battlefront, the Star Wars game, Battlefront 2.
Battlefront 2 and Overwatch as well.
Yeah, and Overwatch. Yeah, because of that whole system and how they thought that would work.
That was horrible. They backtracked hard on it with Battlefront 2. It's a shame because as a game,
great game. Exactly.
It was great. Yeah, really fun.
Everything you wanted. It was a refinement of the new Battlefront, and it was kind of a callback to the old Battlefront 2 that everybody loved, you know, with the clones attacking the temple and stuff. But it was so dominated by that. Like, you couldn't get good at the game unless you were paying your way through it.
Yeah, exactly. It was a nightmare.
Ridiculous.
What I'm really hoping for for D&D and the online stuff they're doing and the online like virtual tabletop is that you will buy a module like, let's say, Keys from the Golden Vault, and for each adventure in Keys to the Golden Vault there is a map that goes with it, and if it's in the book it will then come with the adventure. And like with Curse of Strahd, if you buy Curse of Strahd, you get all the maps that come in that module. There is a digital 3D version of it that you can then play through. And I imagine it will bump the price up of that stuff, and maybe you'll just be able to buy just a digital version, the physical version, and then the digital version with the 3D assets and tokens for that adventure. And that's what I imagine will happen.
What I will say, I would love that, but I know myself, and I'm not ashamed of this. I would pay 99p extra if Strahd got a fancy hat.
Like, you are their ideal customer. You are their ideal target. Right?
I put my hands up. I know my own flaws. Okay,
and it sounds great. Like, yeah, I want Strahd to have a cool hat, right? But that's how they get you.
I know.
You know what? I'm really interested to see how they handle this, James. If you start thinking about it. So, and I've already kind of encountered this with, Foundry and other virtual tabletops, because there's such a difference between playing online and playing in person. Of course, there are many, but when you're playing in person and you have either a digital or a paper map, you still have the element of you kind of have to share this in your imagination. Whereas if you're playing online, you are staring at a screen expecting to see something on that screen, right?
Yeah.
And not just a bunch of talking faces because you have that in your separate app or on your phone. But if you're staring at black or nothing or the same map that you've been staring at for 2 hours, well into you guys having moved to a different area, but you're not quite at Ravenloft yet, right? You're in the woods before Ravenloft. There are lots and lots and lots of map makers, and you can do it yourself. Obviously, James, you've led a class on it of like how to flesh out that world visually and have them on a map. But when it comes to stuff like this proposed VTT, are they going to have compatibility for things that are not dungeons or pre-made maps in that game, right? Like we have to either
Yeah.
make our own or go hunting for,
A third
Wooded
party
Forest
person who's
Crossroads number 7 is a scene that I have in Foundry VTT because they're traveling through the woods. A random encounter might happen. What happens when you don't have that in their pre-purchased
Yeah,
package? Are you
absolutely.
allowed to create your own maps? Are you allowed to just show static imagery, just or some
maybe,
visual
and you could have
arts
the
that they can
3D
stare at?
tokens on a static 2D image.
Right.
That would be cool.
Right.
Yeah, I've done that before. Like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It depends.
Well,
But like
I
if we're in a
suppose another
town, I'll
thing.
do that.
Yeah. Towns and stuff. That would be
For
interesting.
shopping, I'll put a either a James RPG art plug for that Patreon if you want to go support him. Where it's like an MP4 animated, so you can see little birds flying over, whatever, or just any kind of static imagery, or at least a map of the town.
If they make it so you can, and obviously this is one of those things you can't do on the fly, but if you can make your own maps in whatever program they've created, they give that as a tool out to the players. You could do a certain level of prep where, okay, well, there's a chance that they'll be going through a forest, so I can make a couple of different forest maps depending on which direction they head in. I can work with that. But yeah, it'll be one where it will be less reactive. Like on Roll20, I can quickly go to my 700 maps I've created over the years and pull one out if I need one very last second, because all it takes to get that ready is just click and drag it into Roll20. Sorry, everyone who uses Foundry Face, Chris.
And JC uses Foundry.
And
JC.
My heart bleeds, man. We'll get you.
Yeah,
don't worry.
That's fine. I've bought it. I've paid for Foundry. And
No. We'll get you
sitting on your
converted.
shelf.
All right.
Yeah.
There's one thing is like praying. The other, or there's one thing to say you're religious, and then the other one is where you become a fanatic. We'll get you there.
Yes, because it's just click and drag and it's easy. But if you are having to scramble to create a 3D environment to match the rest of it, that's not something you can do in 2 clicks.
Right.
No, exactly.
Even, I mean, unless they make some sort of random environment generator where you could be create me an Arctic environment in 2 seconds, just randomly generate something, and then you just drop it in.
Well, with AI as popular as it is right now, I'm sure they'll probably
implement don't get me started. Do not get me started.
That's a whole different podcast.
It may well be something that they... Well, I don't know. I don't know if you can say it's AI generated if it's a program that you've created to procedurally generate an environment based on some parameters that you set out. That's
the lines.
Their AI doing it for you. Yeah, exactly. It's,
but as long as it's their own assets that they're drawing from, it's not like it's stealing the art.
As long as their artists are getting paid.
Yeah, their artists have already been paid to do the work to create each individual tree or whatever. And then the program just is like, well, I'll pick 7 of the trees, dot the 7 trees around, add a snowdrift in here, some rocks.
Nice.
Alex, your face right now.
Sorry, I'm just I keep hearing noises, and basically car crashed outside my flat not too long ago. Whenever I hear a car going fast, I'm like, be safe, please.
Oh man.
So,
he does care about people. Players, chalk ice boys, there's the proof.
I care about all my children equally. I just don't care for
I
any
don't
of them.
care for Joe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say let's break up this wonderful conversation. I have a very, very short RPG horror story that I saved, and I would love to share with you guys
Cool.
and get your reactions. It's really brief. It's just this is like a little throw in the dark. It's not D&D. It's a different system, and it's a couple of quotes. So I'm going to do a couple of voices for these different quotes. But the title of the post is called quote, "Show me your pick, or I ain't letting you play."
Nice.
All right, here it goes. Finally, found someone who's willing to run Mage the Ascension for me. That's a TTRPG. I say, great, I'll play a Hermetic Mage. His name is Jose Leon, a Hermetic from southern Spain. DM, dude, you can't play a Hispanic character if you yourself are white. That's kind of racist. I'm from Spain myself. What do you mean? Yeah, you either show me your pick or put on your camera so I can see if you're Spanish, or you ain't playing. Yeah, not happening. That was the last line.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a beautiful one. Okay, so for a little bit of context, I saw a show at Edinburgh Fringe, which was called Playing Latinx, and it was basically the story of a man from South America who is a working actor in the UK, and how he's encountered a lot of stereotypes in the marketplace, and how people expect him as a Hispanic actor to act and be a certain way. So he has to kind of put on this farce that he is either a sexy Latin man, or he's a criminal drug lord, or something like that, right? That's kind of the stereotypes that go with that.
Yeah.
Whereas he's not just allowed himself to be. I myself am Hispanic. My parents are also from South America. I was born and raised in New York, but Spanish is my first language. And the fact that people think that you have to be of a certain look in order to be either Hispanic or Spanish or Latinx or something, it's such a misconception, and it's massive. And to force someone to turn on their camera to prove
Verify,
that right, just what a myriad mess of ideas.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I feel like
absolutely.
it is, and I've read stories similar to this before, where Americans, sorry, JC, don't seem to understand that Spain is its own country.
We've got no problem. Hit Americans with everything you got. We deserve it.
that when you say Hispanic, Americans think Mexico and forget that Spain is a country in Europe.
Spain's a country
where white people
mostly
live.
white people. Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yep, it's a thing. Yeah, and even and that being said, of course, there's yes a lot of Caucasian in Spain and from people who are of Spanish heritage, but there's also a lot of mixed stuff there, right? Because they have a very long and beautiful history. Literally, the same goes for most of South and Central America, by the way. Not many people realize that, because in the United States, there's a lot of immigrants and migrants, and they tend to be not so white. But you go to the capital cities, for instance, in Colombia, the capital Bogota, that there's a lot of Caucasian there because of the intermixing over all the centuries. So I don't know how we got here, but this is what this podcast is about now.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because being a white man, like as I am, I often get so conflicted with the accents that I can do, that I can get away with, because I'm never hateful whenever I do any of these accents.
Right.
It's like I did a sort of a generic African accent once, and in one of my games, and one of the players got upset about the fact that I'd done it, and I said, look, I'm not being hateful. That's an accent that exists,
right?
And I don't understand why I can't. Is it because I'm white I can't do that accent? Because it's a black person?
It's
I don't
totally
understand
gray
why
area,
that's.
sure.
Yeah, it's because I'm not hating anybody, and I wasn't being and I wasn't being stereotypical. I wasn't sort of
that's
saying.
The thing. I think that's the
I wasn't
difference,
stereotyping. I wasn't. Yeah, there was nothing there that could have been conceived as being racist. It just
and that's here's the thing too, right? If you're not perfectly portraying every accent you do, then you shouldn't be held to that standard for other accents that aren't white. So for instance, like if you're trying to do, for instance, I can't do a Northerner accent because all I ended up sounding like is Kit Harington from Game of Thrones, and he's not that, and his accent's terrible
Oh,
at
it's
it.
not from
So
the north. No,
it's not from
it's
the
not a
north.
northerner. No,
It's not man in the wall. Right. So I can't
he
do
just
it,
knows if
obviously.
you put a voice like that on, you might sound like you're from the north.
Right. So, but exactly. So if I can't do that, but people still laugh and accept that in the game, then surely, if I try doing a different accent for a non-white person, then you can't hold me to that same standard. We either totally embrace that I'm a bad accent person and then we're going to do this together, or, where's your line?
Exactly.
My general kind of not rule, but the way that I kind of navigate this space is another generic white man with a beard, is kind of just never punch down. That's kind of what I've learned from comedy. Like, take a look at kind of society as a whole. I, as a white man, I'm never gonna kind of make jokes at the expense of women, of non-white people, or people of color, to kind of, I guess, just you just, if someone's in a lower position of societal power than you, then you have a duty to kind of uplift them.
Totally.
So yeah, that's it's why I make fun of straight people so much. Is the conclusion there?
We deserve it.
Kind of just if you're going to make kind of a I guess a risky choice of kind of portraying someone of a different kind of lifestyle or heritage than you, kind of just take a second, step back and go, okay, is this me punching up? Is it me punching down? Would it be respectful? Would it be kind of, is it necessary for me to use this accent? And then kind of once you've gone through all of that, use it. If there's backlash, if someone says, hey, I'm not comfortable with that, you say, thank you, take that on board and change your flow.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always say consent.
Yeah, totally. I once watched a comedian. In fact, actually, this comedian was giving out. He was hosting our awards for us, and he was a Cockney comedian. And he made a really interesting point once in his stand up that he did, like his opening act that he did with us. And he said that if you listen to any of the bank adverts in the UK, the bank adverts in the UK, you'll have, like, for example, like let's say like a generic bank, like, I don't know, JC's Bank, right? Come to JC's Bank and we will look after your money, or something like, here, where are you going with all that money? Come to our bank and we'll take care of it for you. If you do that in a northern accent, it sounds really trusting. Like, let's listen to this. Oh, here, where are you going with all that money? Come put it with us. We'll take care of it. Nothing to worry about. We'll take care of your money, no problem whatsoever. And now if you do it in a Cockney accent, listen to how it sounds like, here, where you going with all that money? Give it to us. We'll take care of it for you. No problem, sunshine. Yeah.
Jason Statham, you can have my money.
Straight away. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that. It's built.
No, you're right. You're right. It's
built
into the
us.
zeitgeist.
It's built into us to just hear that distrust of a Cockney, but trust of a Northerner. It's
this
so
thing, when you kind of, when you encounter these like unconscious biases, like people make kind of being, I don't know, I hate the term being woke or whatever, as like this big arduous thing you have to do. It's not. When you encounter something and you kind of, you feel your mind instantly go somewhere with it, just take a second, go, hey, why did it go there? Oh, it's because of this. All right, let's just bring it back to kind of just a neutral state and go about your day.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally.
So
I find that. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
I was going to say. Go on, James.
Sorry. When it comes to doing accents and stuff, I think I tend to stick to British Isles, and I think that's probably like a inherent fantasy bias. And then Spanish isn't an accent that I can do for very long, but it's not one that I think I would feel I couldn't do. I think there's some that I wouldn't. Australia, that's another one that's fine. South African, that one I think is okay to do. But yeah, I think just I've always been worried about offending someone by doing an accent that potentially someone would have a problem with. and so I've tended to just avoid them.
I mean, I feel like if you
of
suspect
doing
it
that.
will be a problem with someone or will offend someone, then you kind of lean into that. Like, don't do it, right? Yeah,
I imagine there's
Cockney goblins.
But there's
thoughts on Cockney goblins.
But I've even had games
BG3,
with
right?
So I had an Australian player, Ben, and I would never do an Australian accent in a game with Ben because he is Australian and my accent would be bad. And I don't think he would be offended or whatever, but I would be embarrassed to be doing that at him.
I'll tell you a secret, and this is mostly for Keith, if Keith is listening, because he's an old player of mine from an old campaign. Keith, I've wanted to do an Australian accent for Drow for so long because they're from down under. But I can't, and he's from Australia, and he's the only reason I didn't try it in our game.
Oh, you should have. You should have.
It's hard. I personally find the Australian accent so rich and so interesting and so varied and has so much different placement in the mouth that changes as you speak.
And it's very different from different parts of Australia that you come from as well.
Exactly. And that's the other thing too, right? Different. Like there's a wide range. You can't just do an Australian accent. There's, are you from South Australia? Are you from New South Wales? It's like whereabouts?
Have you guys seen Flight of the Conchords?
Of course I have.
Yes. Yeah. When they say about when they see the Australians and they're like the evil versions of us because they're from New Zealand.
They start doing the West Side Story fight. Flight of the Conchords was kind of a big one for me growing up. As like kind of like I would say like in terms of my humor, it's Monty Python, Flight of the Conchords, The Simpsons. Those are like the three main tenets.
Nice.
Great.
Yep.
That's a good triangle you got.
Honestly,
my humor is largely informed by the 1985 movie Clue with Tim Curry.
I love Clue. Yes,
I'm so into that kind of comedy where it's just you go overboard, like Wadsworth doing the run through of the murder at the end. That's me. That's kind of what I try to.
That's where we're going for Rolldark Fest 2. That's the humor that we're going towards.
There we go. Come see that. We'll be there.
I genuinely. I've used quotes from Clue in my games before, and very few of my players have picked up on it, which made me quite sad. But
it's a great film, guys.
They loved the sorcerer fishmonger who told them that he was going to go have sex with his wife, and then just walked off.
I'm gonna go have sex with my wife.
Brilliant.
I always do that. I hated her so much that
flames out of the side of my
face, heaving breaths. Madeline Kahn, R.I.P. Legend.
Anyone who's listening to this who hasn't watched Clue, get a life.
You have homework.
What are you doing? Treat yourself.
It's fantastic.
I've not seen it, so
I knew it. If James was too quiet during this.
Get it together.
It's on Amazon Prime, I believe.
Oh, fantastic!
I'm pretty certain it's on there.
Can we get our producer to confirm? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
If I can pry myself away from Baldur's Gate sometime this week,
you have to watch Clue. I'm expecting a 2-page essay on my desk by Monday morning.
What size font? And do I have to do it? Is it double spaced?
12 point Comic Sans, no double spacing.
Comic Sans.
Comic Sans.
You're going to read that. You're going to read 2 pages of Comic Sans.
I'll be accepting no further questions at this time. Thank you.
Pirates. It could have been worse, right?
Wingdings.
I really feel like Tim Curry didn't have enough of a career that he should have had.
He needed more. Yeah, he deserved everything he got and much more. Yeah,
he was a fantastic actor.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome actor. Like in Legend, when he plays that demon in Legend. Oh my!
I've never seen Legend actually.
It's a tough film to watch.
I heard
it's not aged. It's not aged great in terms of
terrible.
the script is really. It's really like, oh god, it's quite jarring. But Tim Curry scenes, just watch all Tim Curry scenes.
Just watch a compilation of his scenes on YouTube.
Yeah, just watch those because you'll be like, wow.
Got it.
Yeah. It's like Requiem for a Dream.
Oh god,
it's like what?
Oh,
Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, I hate that.
This thing.
Yeah.
Fun fact: I'm
gonna be on television.
I once broke up with someone because they had Requiem for a Dream on Blu-ray.
Oh god!
Not because I don't think it's a good film. I'm thinking
it's a deal breaker for Alex Paul.
No. Let me explain. what psychopath wants to watch Requiem for a Dream more than once?
More than
Oh, yeah,
once.
absolutely.
Like, why do you have that on Blu-ray? Why?
Yeah, it's one
I
of
like to
those
think it was a
films,
gift from someone, and they just kept it out of obligation, and you've just seen
I-
it,
I-
and
I
without
gave them-
talking to them
This
about it, we're
sounds-
just like,
this sounds
no,
like a nice
done.
film.
I was like,
Right.
I gave them no explanation. I was like, you know what? I'm good.
This
Thank
is
you.
not gonna
Thank you
work
for the
out.
meal. It's not
Yeah.
going to work out. Goodbye.
The horrible thing about that film is you can't stop watching it once
Oh,
you
of course.
start.
No. It's an incredible film, but it the worst.
Oh god, it's just evil. It's
I'm
just
intrigued.
pure.
I'm really intrigued.
Have you never
Evil.
seen Requiem for a Dream?
I've never seen it. No.
Don't watch it, but
Don't
also
watch
do
it.
watch it.
But watch it.
It's
Yeah.
Do you know that guy?
I've also
Do
not
you
seen
still
it.
have
It's
his
a very-
contact information? I'll get his Blu-ray.
it's a
You're
very dark, unnerving film that is like that will just push it will stay with you for a long time after you've watched it. Like
Yeah.
you'll just be like,
Am I crazy?
oh,
Is that not Christopher
God.
Nolan? Is that one of his films?
No.
I'm thinking of
It's
something else.
it's
Okay.
Christopher Nolan's films are like that, definitely, but they're not.
Uh-huh.
But they're not like this. This is like it's disturbing. It's probably
Mhm.
like one word you could have. It's a very disturbing film. There's
Yeah.
Okay.
elements of it that you really don't need to see that they show you,
Mm.
and it's just a very dark, horrible take on like addiction and yeah, it's just really gutter.
Yeah.
It's just horrible. It's a horrible film. You
Oh,
don't need
it's
to
a
watch it.
Darren Aronofsky film.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Don't
That's
watch
what you're
it.
saying.
Honestly, you don't need to watch it, JC. It's gonna you'll
That's
you'll
fair.
be on the podcast next week being like not saying a
I
thing.
watched it.
I'm like,
Guys, I've seen some shit.
Yeah, James was like,
Shit.
oh my god, guys, Clue was so much
That's
fun.
like my
JC,
friend who
he's
tricked
just,
me
"Oh."
into watching Watership Down, being like, "Oh, it's about bunnies. You like Secret of Nim? Go watch Watership Down. It's
Oh,
great."
no.
And then
Oh,
I
that's
saw that, I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's basically
Actually, JC,
this is the
JC.
adult version of that.
As a palate cleanser for that, actually, if you do like animal stuff, you want to watch The Animals of Farthing Wood. It's like a series.
Oh god.
Okay, I've never heard of it.
God's sake.
Yeah,
From Rob's
It's-
reaction.
it's not dark at all, and there's definitely
Oh.
not just one animal out of the 20 or so that start the series that are still alive at the
Oh.
end. It's
I
fine.
roll insight on James.
It's a horrible show that traumatized me as a child.
I'm so
It was basically made by a load of hippies that wanted to reach children to make them love animals. And
It worked.
it worked, but it also affected the children that already did love animals. They didn't need to
Yeah.
see that. Do you know what
So
I mean? It's like,
basically,
alright.
the story is these animals live in a wood, and the wood's being torn down. So the animals of Farthingwood then go off to find a new home, and in doing
Right.
so, they are killed in a myriad of ways.
right.
Traffic, hunters. It's just
This was
brutal.
a child's TV show as well.
Yeah.
on children's television at
Wow.
like 5 o'clock in the afternoon or something. It's like ridiculous.
I remember like one of the like, and they were like most of the animals were in like couples as well, and like one of the pheasants died, and their partner was left to grieve. It was so dark.
It was a hatchet
Probably.
job. It was a hatchet job. It was like, oh, the animals are Farthingwood. Yeah. Oh, and actually, this is the reality of life, and animals get killed, and you need to feel bad about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
They'll get
Horrible.
anything past the networks, huh?
Mm.
It's kind of weird.
This must have come out like early-ish 90s, early to mid
right.
90s.
Sorry, I'm too young to know what that is.
Oh, you don't need to. Don't look.
Okay, well, Alex, you've got homework now. You get to go traumatize yourself watching The Animals of Farthingwood.
Right.
JC could traumatize himself watching. Right, we need to find something horrible for Rob to watch that he's not
I've
seen.
seen it all. I've seen it all. I mean, this is the result of like that. This is the
What's
result.
left?
This angry like dude that drops f-bombs like it's going out of fashion. Like I'm like there's these angry little spats
Versus
that come
like
out
a
every now and
sailor.
again. That's what you
Yeah.
get. That's what you end up with.
Have you seen Human Centipede 2, 2 Centipede,
Oh,
2
good
Furious?
Oh,
Lord.
James, enough. James,
James.
enough. Enough. All right, enough.
Electric Boogaloo.
Although the podcast says explicit, there might be children listening, and they don't need to go googling that stuff.
Oh,
All right.
I'm so
God,
sorry.
don't Google it. Don't do it. Ah!
Don't do it. Oh, great. Now they will.
Oh, Christ.
Just if you can beep the name of the film that I said, then that's fine.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Okay, great. Give me some work to do.
On that happy note,
Yeah, on that happy note. Yeah, right.
any last TTRPG stuff we got to talk about?
Well, I would quite like to know what sort of hat Strahd would have actually. What kind of hat you'd give him?
Okay,
Love that.
okay. Here we go.
Here
Right.
we go.
So I'm envisioning an entire hat wardrobe for Strahd based on like how you play him. So obviously, like everyone who plays Curse of Strahd has their own kind of individual way that they play Strahd. So if you're playing him as more of an incel, you can give him like a fedora. If he's more kind of a megalomaniacal, like over-the-top fancy man, you can go for like a conquistador hat with like a feather going through it.
Cool, love those. They're my faves.
If you want him as just like just a regular dude, you can give him like just a baseball cap that says like, I don't know, like I love
MAGA.
Make America great again.
MAGA. Yeah, it's a
Make
MAGA.
Barovia great again. Woof.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you could. There was so much you could do with Strahds and hats. This is, you know what? That's what I'm going to spend the rest of my day doing. I'm gonna draw Strahd with fancy hats.
Sweet.
Can you draw me traditional English gentleman Strahd with a little flat cap and like hunting boots?
I got
like tweed.
I will say I got
tweed.
a C in GCSE art, so I will do the best I can.
Okay.
However, I'm not promising the world.
You did GCSE art, Alex, and I struggle to draw stick people with appropriate proportions. Their legs and arms will be odd sizes, and their head will be a weird shape and not to match their body.
I mean, that works.
You taught a class on how to draw battle maps.
Yeah, it's a good job. I could do the maps. People though, very difficult.
Yeah.
Hands were always my biggest problem.
Hands.
I think
the AI hasn't. If Midjourney hasn't gotten the hands right yet.
I think Midjourney's basically oh, excuse me.
It's all right. That's the AI guilt choking up.
The nanobots coming in.
Rob actually is AI, by the way. I don't know if you guys know this. He's the latest experiment.
Yes, hello. I'm AI. I just like freaked out because I was like analyzing myself.
You got into that. What is it? The
singularity.
Singularity. Yes, it's gone crazy.
The worst things to draw: hands, horses, bikes.
Yeah, totally.
Bikes.
Really?
Try and draw a bicycle. You won't be able to.
No, I'm good. I can't draw for my life. Anyway, any of my players can confirm this. If I've ever had to draw something out that I didn't have on hand, a professional made map for, they're like, "Oh, this explains why you have so many Patreon subscriptions." Yeah. That being said, I can't help but imagine Strahd in that stuffed vulture hat that you see Neville's grandma wear / Snape in the Bogart form from Harry Potter. I don't know why, but I see that.
That's excellent.
I think like for April Fools, you could get like a little Strahd propeller hat. I think that would be fun.
Oh yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that. One of my players in my old Strahd campaign got one of those colorful little caps with the propeller in Barovia, and I was like, I don't know what this is doing here. But
you
can buy them, can't you?
One of those hats
stores.
One of those hats with like the containers on the side with straws, and you can just have little containers of blood.
The beer.
Nice.
The beer cap.
Yeah.
God. That's brilliant.
That's brilliant. So, how about we think about wrapping up now? But before we do, shall we do some voices?
Ooh.
Oh dear, yeah, we can do.
Yeah, should we do some voices?
I could do a voice or two.
I think Alex, because you're our special guest, you can decide what we all do.
Oh God! So
Rob, you're just going to throw stuff at us?
Anything in the realm of fantasy or just
up to you?
Okay.
Up to you. Ideally D&D, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. It probably will be D&D. So
okay.
I would like to hear from everyone.
Yep.
Let's say like a city guard, 19 years old.
Yep.
They've just joined the force, and they brought in a packed lunch without realizing there's a full canteen that everyone's getting nice food from.
Okay, cool.
So, am I going first with that then?
Yeah, you are.
Oh, God, okay.
No. Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Oh, I suppose that looks really nice, that soup. I mean, I just got some sandwiches. It's got a post-it note where my mum says she loves me. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I'm going to try my darndest.
Aww.
There we go.
That's cute. That's cute. Who wants to go next?
Oh, okay.
Go on, James.
James is getting up. Yeah, he's getting professional.
Yeah.
Well, let's not get carried away.
Yeah.
And his connection's gone.
As actually, perfect.
It's fine. No, you're back. You're back.
You're coming back
Okay.
slowly.
You're fine.
Coming back slow. Okay.
It records locally, so it should be okay.
There we go.
Sir, I just wonder, is the canteen for everyone, or is it? Do you have to have been working here a certain amount of time, or can I? Because I bought my own, and the crusts have been cut off for me by Mum, but I can. Thank you.
Great. Okay, cool.
Alex, in your prompt, did you say what was the descriptor? What was your adjective there?
So it's like
Sassy?
city guard.
Oh, sissy guard. Okay.
City guard, 19 years old. First day on the job, has brought a packed lunch without realizing there's a fully paid canteen.
There's a full canteen. So I think I had heard sassy.
Okay.
And so now I'm going to try and combine
Do
both.
Do it.
So I don't really understand how this is working right now. I am like a little intimidated by everybody being here, and I just kind of like want to find my own little corner to just kind of go through and do my own thing. So are we mandated to sit all together? Because there's like a lot of sweaty guys and they're all eating that, frankly, rather not well prepared looking stuff. And I kind of just want to do my own thing. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Very good. Okay, so oh, I had no idea we would have like lunch laid out for us. My dad made me this. I suppose I should eat it really, but that food looks so good. Oh, what's that? Is that a turkey? Oh, and that's pork. Oh, I've not had meat in years, never since Mum died. My dad he's obsessed with vegetables. I've just got carrots and a hummus dip. Oh, but look at that. Oh, look at that turkey. Oh, that looks delicious. There you go.
Well, I'm hungry.
Don't take this the wrong way, Rob.
Good.
I had such a visceral reaction to that. Like, I don't know whether I want to comfort or murder this child. Like, I'm just
a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's like
good.
fight or flight kicked in. I'm not controlling my body.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Oh,
cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Alex.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Have you on the podcast. Yeah,
anytime.
Yeah, awesome.
I think that's the first time we've done that like voice bit without an actual script written out somewhere for us to like go from. We all improv'd our own lines.
That's pretty good. Maybe we should do that from now on. I think that's probably better, isn't it?
Yeah, improv.
We can
always.
Yeah, improv. Yeah.
You don't have scripts as a DM. Come on now.
Nah, no.
No.
Never.
Yeah, I don't really pre-write my speeches.
Yeah, we definitely pre-write that.
Wait. Your players let you do your speeches.
Yeah, right.
No, we get like a couple of words into them, but we've written them.
I think, I told someone to shut up the other day. I was like, stop interrupting my speech. Let her get through this. I think it was the Wayfinders.
Oh dear.
Oh gosh.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us today, and check us out for our next week's podcast, which I imagine will be on Monday again. We're doing Monday with you guys.
I think I can do that.
I think I can too.
Cool. Well, great. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care, everyone. Bye.
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 Bye.